Hello guys, welcome back. Myself Assistant Professor Gaurang Prajapati from Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technical Education and Research Center, Navsari. Today I am going to cover the topic of design of gantry girders of the subject design of steel structures 8th semester civil engineering. In the previous two videos I have covered the design of EOT crane girder acting on gantry girder. Now in this video we are going to cover the topic of design of gantry girder carrying manual crane girder. That is just a minute. Okay, so let's start the design. Just a minute. So let's start the design. See, the title is design of gantry girder carrying manual, or we can say hand operating crane girder. So design a gantry girder to be used in an industrial building carrying a manually operated overhead traveling crane for the following data. Now the data given are crane capacity 2 to 5 kilonewton, self weight of the crane girder excluding trolley 2 to 5 kilonewton. Okay, let's see the data also over here. Crane capacity, that is 2 to 5 kilonewton. Then self weight of the crane girder, that is 2 to 5 kilonewton, this one. Then self weight of trolley, electric motor, hook, etc., that is 50 kilonewton. Okay, just a minute. And see over here, self weight of the trolley 50 kilonewton. Then approximate minimum approach of the crane hook to the gantry girder, that is 1.25 meter. So that's nothing, we can say it is a hook approach, 1.25 meter. Wheelbase 3.5 meter, that's the wheelbase of the crane girder over here, 3.5 meter. Center to center distance between the gantry rails, that is 16 meter. So ultimately this is the span of crane girder, that is over here, 16 meter. Then center to center distance between the column, that is span of gantry girder, that is 8 meter. Span of gantry girder, that is over here, you can see. Then self weight of the rail section 300 Newton per meter, that is this one. Diameter of the crane wheels 150 mm diameter. Then steel is of grade Fe410, and design also the field welded connection if required. So they have asked for the connection also. Now the support bracket connection need not to be designed. Okay, 14 marks, May 2018. So now for this design, see, this is almost the same design as we have done in the EOT crane girder, only the difference will be, let me show you. In the first video I have shown the difference between these two one. Let me show you over here, just a minute. Okay, you can see I have provided one table over here for the difference of the EOT and manual operated crane girder. For the EOT crane girder, impact load is taken as 25%, while in case of the manual it is taken as 10%. That's the first difference. Then second, that is the surge load. In surge load, we can say for EOT crane girder surge load is taken 10%, while for manual crane girder it is taken as 5%. So these are the two main big difference between the EOT and manual crane girder. Okay, while braking force is taken common in both the cases, EOT as well as manual. While in case of the deflection criteria for the EOT crane girder, this one is given in the code, that crane capacity for the 50 up to 500 kilonewton and above 500 kilonewton, while for manual crane girder it is taken as L by 500. So these are the three main difference between the manual and EOT crane girder. Except all these ones, all the data or we can say all the design are similar like EOT crane girder. So let's start the design. Example number 2, we have already covered example number 1 in the previous videos. Now in this one, so let's start the design. So step number 1, maximum wind load. So now in this one we are calculating the wheel load of the crane girder over the gantry girder. So for that one, first of all we need to draw a span of crane girder, that is this one. So crane girder span is, we can say, 16 meter. Okay, just a minute. Okay, now we need to calculate this point load for that one. So this is nothing, we can say this one is the weight of trolley, or we can say hook approach. Okay, so for that one, first of all point load. So formula for the point load is, we can say, crane capacity plus weight of trolley. Now crane capacity and weight of trolley are given to us in the data. See, crane capacity is 225 kilonewton and weight of trolley, that is given to us over here, 50. So by doing the summation of these two, I will get the answer. Just a minute. So we can say the point load is crane capacity 225, weight of trolley, that is 50. So our answer is 275 kilonewton. Okay, now this one is our point load. Now moving forward, now we need this one, we can say but before that one, let's put down this load in this formula. So this point load is spaced at the distance of hook approach from the starting point of the crane girder. So from the starting point at the distance of hook approach, this load is placed over here, over the crane girder. Now weight of the crane girder. Okay, so for that one, what we need to do, they have already given us in the data sulfate of the crane girder, and we can divide it by the span. Okay, let's check sulfate of the crane girder, that is 225. So by dividing the span of crane girder, we will get the load per meter. Okay, so for that one, sulfate of crane girder 225 divided by span, that is 16. Okay, so by doing so, we will get the value, that is 14 kilonewton per meter. That's our UDL. So that's the criteria we have got. Okay, now moving forward, so let's put down this value over here. Now we need to calculate the V load. So ultimately we need to calculate these reactions. So in order to calculate reactions, let's take moment at C over here. Okay, so for that one, we can say RD's moment will be anti-clockwise, RD into, we can say, distance 16, and in the clockwise, this will go as the clockwise. So 275 into this distance, that is 125, and this UDL is acting over the entire span. So it will also be clockwise, 14 into dimension 16 into 16 by 2. Okay, see over here I have done the same thing. Just let me zoom in the data. So sigma MC equals to 0. So RD into 16 equals to 275 into hook approach, that is 1.25, plus 14 into 16 into 16 by 2. So I will get the answer of RD, that is 133.5 kilonewton. Okay, so once we get the RD, now we need to calculate RC, that will be total load minus RD, or we can say we can use the condition sigma V. So total load 275, and this 14 kilonewton per meter is acting on the 16 meter span. So total load will be 275 plus 14 into 16. Then deduct RD from that one, we will get the value of RC. Okay, so we have done the same thing over here. RC, that is total load minus RD, total load 275, and this one is 14 into 16 minus this one is the value of RD, this one. So ultimately RC, we will get the answer, that is 366.5, and we have already got the answer of RD, that is 133.5. So let's calculate the maximum reaction out of these two. So obviously maximum will 366.5. okay, so the maximum reaction is, we can say, 366.5. now at the each at the each end of the crane girder there are two wheels. So particularly load on each wheel will be, we can say, this reactions divided by 2. So it will be this reactions divided by 2, that is 183.5. see, let me show you this one in the theory. Just a minute. Right now we are calculating this wheel loads. Okay, so see, this one is our gantry girder, and in the transverse direction this one is our crane girder. Now at each end of crane girder there are two wheels. Okay, our one reaction, say we have drawn this beam for the crane girder. Now this one reaction means these two wheels. So ultimately if we want to calculate load on each wheel, then we have to divide the reaction divided by 2. Okay, like that. So let's get back to the design. Yeah, so just a minute. So load on each wheel, that will be, we can say, 366.5 divided by 2. So our answer is 183.25 kilonewton. Okay, now for the impact load, this load is increased by 10%. Okay, now that's the first change. For the manual crane girder, impact load is taken as 20%, while in the previous design we were, means for EOT crane girder we were taking it as a 25%. So that's the first change compared to the previous one. So the desired load on each wheel equals to, increase it by 10%, so multiply by 1.10 into 183.25. so our answer will be 201.58 kilonewton. Clear? So once we get this one, So finally, as per the limit sets, let's convert it into the factor load, that is multiply by 1.5. So multiply by 1.5 into 201.58, we will get the answer 302.36 kilonewton. Let's take the round figure value, that is 303 kilonewton. Okay, so that is our step number 1. Now in this one we have calculated the wheel load over the gantry girder. Now step number 2, now maximum BM in the gantry girder. Now for maximum BM in gantry girder, what we need to do, we need to place crane girder over gantry girder in such a way that maximum deflection will occur under the first wheel of the crane girder. So for that one, what we need to do, so first of all we need to take this span, that is 8 meter. Okay, now just take the center of this one, so that is C. So 8 meter by 2, so this one will be 4 meter, this one will be 4 meter. Okay, that's our center. Now from the center, now the distance between the two wheels, that is known as wheelbase, that is given to us in the data, that is 3.5 meter. Okay, now what we need to do, from the center, say on the left hand side, say 1/4 dimensions of the wheelbase, put the first wheel over here at the distance of 1/4 of wheelbase. Okay, so we have put this first wheel over here, so 1/4 of wheelbase, as is 1/4 of 3.5, so we will get the answer 0.875. let's keep it into 2 digits, so 0.88. so from the C towards the left hand side at 0.88 meter, let's put first wheel over here. Next, on the right hand side of the C, we can say at the distance of 3/4 of wheelbase. Okay, let's put the second wheel over here. 3/4 of wheelbase, that will be 3/4 of 3.5, answer will be 2.62 meter. So at the distance of 2.62 meter, let's put the second wheel of the crane girder over here. Okay, so we have got these two wheels over here, okay, on the left and on the right hand side of the C. Now the remaining dimension, say for these dimensions, okay, what we need to do, this one is half distance of 4 meter, this one is 0.88 meter, so 4 minus 0.88, we will get this distance, that is 3.12 meter. Similarly on the right hand side, same, say 4 meter is the half distance and this one is 2.62, so 4 minus 2.62, so we will get this dimension, that is 1.38 meter. Okay, so what we have done, we have placed these two wheels at this respectively position. As per the theoretical criteria, if we will put these two wheels of crane girder on gantry girder in this manner, then we will get the maximum bending moment over here at this first wheel at A. Okay, and we have these two loads. Now we need to calculate this UDL, that is this one. Okay, so let's calculate this one. See, I have given the description of the placement of the wheels over here. You can read this one. You do not need to write this one in the exam, because this is just for your understanding purpose. Now we need to calculate the UDL. So for that one, what we need to do, assume the suitable self-height of the gantry girder, that is usually assume as 1.6 to 1.7 kilonewton per meter. Right now I have assumed as 1.7 kilonewton per meter. Then weight of the rail section, that is given to us in the data 300 newton per meter. Let's convert it into kilonewton per meter, multiply by 10 raised to minus 3, so 0.3 kilonewton per meter. So ultimately total UDL will be, we can say summation of these two, 1.7 plus 0.3, so answer is 2 kilonewton per meter. And let's convert it into the factor, that is we can say multiply by 1.5, so that's the factor UDL, that is 1.5 into 2, so total UDL will be 3 kilonewton per meter. So we have got this load also, 3 kilonewton per meter acting over the entire span. Okay, so now as we have got this position, now we know that as per this position we will get the maximum bending moment under this point load. Okay, but for that one we need to calculate reactions also. Okay, so let's calculate reactions first of all. So for reaction purpose, say let's take moment at A. So our first anti-clockwise moment will be of RB. So RB into total dimension, that is we can say 8 meter. So I am writing down over here RB into 8, that's anti-clockwise. Then this one will be clockwise, so equals to 303 into dimension, that is 3.12, plus similarly this load will be also clockwise. Okay, so 303 into dimension 4 meter half and 2.62 towards the right hand side of C, so it will be 6.62, just a minute, into 6.62. okay, and the entire UDL, that will be also acting towards the left hand side, so it will be clockwise. So UDL's criteria, load into distance into a half distance, 3 into 8 into 8 by 2. Okay, so this will be the steps to calculate the RB. So let's calculate RB over here. See, I have done the same thing over here. Sigma MA equals to 0, so RB into 8 equals to 303 into 3.12 plus 303 into 6.62 plus 3 into 8 into 8 by 2. So ultimately RB will be 380.9 kilonewton. That's the sigma MA. Then we can say, in order to calculate RA, what we need to do, sigma V equals to 0. For RA RB, that will be upward and downward 303, this 303, and the entire UDL that will be acting downward. Okay, so we can say RA equals to total load, that is 303 plus 303 plus entire UDL 3 into 8. So that's my total load, minus we need to deduct RB from this one. Okay, so we'll get the value of RA. See, I have done the same thing over here. 303 plus 303 plus 3 into 8, that's our total load, minus that's the value of RB, 380.9. okay, so we'll get the value of RA, that is this one. Okay. Then now as we have got this one, so now we need to calculate moment at A over here, this point. So we can say moment at A will be RA into this dimension 3.12, that's clockwise. So RA into 3.12, that's a clockwise moment. We are doing the calculation of moment under the wheel load A, and this entire UDL will go towards right hand side, so it will be anti-clockwise. So minus 3 into 3.12 to 3.12 by 2, or we can say 1.56, like that. Okay, so we'll get the value of RA from over here. Okay, so see, RA into 3.12, RA is 249.1. okay, and minus 3 into 3.12 and 3.12 by 2, that is 1.56. so we'll get the moment at A, 762.6 kilonewton into meter. That's our moment at A. Then moment at B, we need to do the same thing over here, moment at B. So for this one, what we need to do, I will take the sign convention rule and calculate moment from the right hand side, say anti-clockwise plus, clockwise minus. So moment at B will be RB into 1.38, anti-clockwise moment, so that's why it is plus RB into 1.38. and meanwhile this UDL load will act as a clockwise moment, so minus 3 into 1.38 into 1.38 divided by 2, that is this one. Okay, see, RB, that is we can say 380.9 into 1.38 minus 3 into 1.38 into 1.38 by 2, that's 0.69. so we will get the value of MB, that is 522.8 kilonewton into meter. So that's the answer of moment at B. Okay, once we get that one, so finally maximum bending moment, that is MZ. So it is the maximum of these two, MA as well as we can say MB. So maximum is obviously MA. Okay, so that's our MZ. And then let's draw the bending moment diagram, that is, see, this one, A and B moment at 0. Let's see, that's the maximum, 762.6, over here 522.6, and this one, and shape will be parabolic curve as per the UDL shape. Okay, so that's our step number 2. Then step number 3, that is maximum SF in gantry girder. Now in order to calculate maximum shear force, let's go back to the concept figure. See, we know that maximum shear force is usually occur towards the support. So what we need to do, we need to move this crane girder towards its ends, means we need to move it over here. Okay, or we can move it over here also, there is no problem with that one. So the condition is it should be at the end of the gantry girder in order to get the maximum shear force. So right now what I will do, I will move this crane girder towards the end of this gantry girder. So two wheels will be over here. Okay, so just a minute. So what I'm doing, I'm just a minute, I'm just placing these two wheels okay, towards over here. Okay, so these two wheels will be over here like this, like this. So let's see. Step number 3, maximum SF in gantry girder. Now I will put first wheel over here of the crane girder. So second wheel will be obviously at the distance of wheelbase, that is 3.5 meter over here. Okay, now the total span of the gantry girder is, we can say, 8 meter. So the 8 minus 3.5, so this dimension will be 4.5 meter, and the over the entire section UDL is acting, that is 3 kilonewton per meter. That's our criteria. Okay, so now by putting this arrangement, I know that the maximum reactions will be definitely RA. So instead of taking moment at A, I am taking moment at B over here. You can take moment at A and calculate RB, then you can calculate RA from the total load minus RB, okay, like normal method. Okay, but right now I know that maximum reactions will be RA, so I am taking moment at B. Okay, so taking moment at B, so RA into clockwise moment. Okay, so RA into 8, so RA into 8, then this UDL, it is acting over the entire span, so it will come like this, anti-clockwise. So 3 into 8 into 8 by 2, that is 4. Then this 303 will also be anti-clockwise, dimension is 4.5, so 303 into 4.5, and then the remaining one, this 303 will also act as a anti-clockwise over the entire span, so 303 into 8. So from this equation I will get the value of RA. Okay, so see, I have done the same thing over here. Sigma MB equals to 0, so RA into 8, then 3 into 8 into 8 by 2, UDL's moment, then 303 into 4.5, then 303 into 8. So by doing so, I will get the value of RA, 485.44 kilonewton. Okay, and I know that this will be the maximum reaction, so maximum SF equals to VZ, so that's RA, so VZ equals to 485.44 kilonewton. So I have got the value of VZ as well as MZ. So I need to design gantry girder in such a manner that it can resist the maximum shear force of this one and maximum bending moment of this one. Okay, now next we need to calculate the surge load. Okay, surge load is the load which is acting which is producing on the gantry girder by movement of the crane girder, by movement of the trolley over the crane girder. Okay, so for that one, just a minute, see, horizontal force or surge load transfers to the rail section. So total surge load, that is taken as 5%. Okay, that's the second difference. See, in case of the EOT crane girder, we were taking it as a 10%. Now in this one it is taken as 5%, as we are designing for the manual crane girder. Okay, so for that one, total surge load is taken at 5% of the, we can say, hook load plus crab load. Hook load plus crab load is nothing. Hook load is your crane capacity and crab load is your crab load, means we can say weight of trolley. We have already calculated this point load in the step number 1. You can see over here, see, we have already calculated this point load, 275 kilonewton. So ultimately we have to take 5% of this load. Okay, so for that one, let's go back to the step. Yeah, so 5% of, we can say, 275 plus 50, that was, we can say, 325, then 5% of that one, so answer is 13.75 kilonewton. So that's our total surge load. Now this surge load is produced because of the movement of the trolley, and each and every trolley will have 4 wheels at the corner. Okay, so load on each wheel will be, we can say, total load divided by 4. Okay, so this load is set by 4 wheels of the trolley, so surge load per wheel equals to total this load divided by, we can say, 4. So 13.75 divided by 4, our answer is 3.44 kilonewton. That's our surge load. Okay, then we need to convert it as per the factored criteria, Levenstate method. So we are converting into the factor point load, that is 1.5 multiplied by 3.44, so we will get the answer 5.16 kilonewton. So let's check the round figure value as a 5.2 kilonewton. Okay, once we get this factor load, then we have already calculated the maximum bending moment. See, we have already calculated this maximum bending moment for this load. Say for 303 kilonewton, maximum bending moment is producing this one, 762.6. so by doing such proportions, I can calculate the maximum bending moment due to surge load also. Okay, so what I will use the proportion, say for 303 kilonewton, our maximum bending moment is this one. How much? That is 762.6 kilonewton into meter. So we have got the our factor surge load. So for the factor surge load, it is how much? Okay, so we can calculate this one. So I'm doing such things over here. Just a minute. See, at W equals to 303 kilonewton, the moment is 762.6. so factor surge load is 5.2 kilonewton. At 5.2 kilonewton, it is how much? So by proportion, 5.2 multiplied by 762.6 divided by 303. So I will get the answer My, that is 13.1 kilonewton into meter. Okay, so that's the maximum bending moment due to surge load. So we have got three criteria: Vz, maximum shear force; Mz, maximum bending moment due to vertical downward load, or we can say the wheel load; and My, the maximum bending moment due to surge load. Now we need to design gantry girder in such a manner that it resists at least this much shear force and this much bending moment. Okay, that's our requirement criteria are there. So that's our requirement criteria. Okay, so now the remaining one is we need to calculate the braking force. Now the braking force is the force produced by the movement of the crane girder over the gantry girder. So for that one, braking force is taken as 5% of the static wheel load. Now in case of the EOT crane girder also, the braking force was taken as 5%. There is no change with this one. Okay, so braking force equals to 5% of the static wheel load. Static wheel load is nothing, we can say 5% of 2 into load on each wheel. So ultimately that was our maximum reaction. We have already calculated this one in step number 1. The maximum reaction was, just a minute, this one, 366.5. okay, so we need to take the 5% of this one. So just a minute, see, 5% of 366.5. so our answer is 18.3 kilonewton. And as per the limit set, let's convert it into the factor load, that is multiply by 1.5. so we will get the answer, that is 27.45 kilonewton. Okay, so that's the factor surge load which we have calculated over here. So that was our step number 3. Now moving forward, step number 4. Step number 4, that is section selection criteria. Just a minute. So let's start the step number 4, that is section for the gantry girder. Now in this step we will get to know that which are the requirement criteria for designing the section for the gantry girder. Now for that one, first of all, depth of girder. So for that one, formula stands for L by 12. L is, we can say, 8 meter. So let's convert it into 1000, means mm. So 8000 divided by 12. Answer is 666.67 mm. Then next, that is width of the flange. That formula stands for L by 40 to L by 30. Now L, that is for 8000 divided by 40 to 8000 divided by 30. I will get the answer 200 to 266.67 mm. And then the plastic section requirement, that is ZP requirement. Formula stands for K into MA divided by Fy. Unknown K, that is always taken as 1.4, and MA, that is nothing, we can say MZ, that is maximum bending moment. We have already calculated this one in the step number 2, that is 762.6 kilonewton per meter. So let's convert it into Newton into mm. Okay, now moving forward, let's put down this value over here. So 1.4 MA, that is 762.6 into 10 raised to 6, and Fy, that is 250 Newton per mm square. By simplification, we will get the answer 4270.56 into 10 raised to 3 mm cube. Let's convert it into centimeter cube, multiply by 10 raised to 3. Okay, minus 3, sorry. So these are our requirement criteria. Now we know that the gantry girder is a built up section, though if we want to take the roll section, then we cannot take because of this one, because the maximum dimension of the beam is ISMB, or we can say ISWB, that is, we can say 600 mm. Though in the previous video I have explained the concept that if we take the gantry girder as roll section also, then also the check requirement criteria will never get satisfied. So ultimately we need to take as a built up section as a gantry girder. So in order to take the built up section, we have already used this method in the plate girder design. So by using the plate girder design method, I will select, or we can say the design, the dimension of the gantry girder. So as the gantry girder is a built up section, a welded plate girder is designed for the gantry girder. So gantry girder is always a built up section. So to design the dimension of the gantry girder, select the dimension by plate girder design method. So now we are designing the dimension as per the plate girder design method. So for that one, first of all, wave dimensions. So D equals to mk by Fi raised to 0.33. Okay, where unknown m, maximum bending moment, 762.6 into 10 raised to 6 Newton into mm. Fi, that is 250 Newton per mm square, and K, that is always assumed as 150. Now by doing so, this one, let's put down this value over here, 762.6 into 10 raised to 6 into 150, that's K, and Fi, that is 250 whole is to 0.33. So by simplifying the term, I will get the answer 721.02 mm. So let's take the round figure value, that is 800 mm. So that's my requirement criteria for the depth. So I'm assuming the depth as 80 mm. Now let's assume the dimension of thickness of wave. So I have told you in the previous video also, usually I maintain the D by TW ratio, that is equals to 50 for gantry girder. So we can say by doing D by 50, say we can say 800 by 50. If you will do 800 by 50, then you will get your answer, that is thickness of wave, that is 16 mm. Okay, so you have got the dimension of the, we can say, wave plate, 800 multiplied by 16 mm. Let's show it in the figure. See, this one is the cross section of the gantry girder. In this one we have got the thickness 16 as well as depth, that is we can say 800 mm. Okay, now by doing this one, now let's calculate the flange criteria requirement, and for that one I need to take you to the just a minute, I need to take you to the code. See, in the table, in the code, table number 2, page number 18, we will get the requirement criteria for that one. Okay, now for this one, outstanding element of compression flange for the, as we are designing the built up section, so it will be the welded section. Then condition for the flange to be plastic, this is this one, B by TF should be less than 8.4 epsilon. So I'm going to use this condition, just a minute. So flange plate, assume that the bending moment is resisted by flange only. So now for the compression flange with the welded section for the plastic design, B by TF should be less than 8.4 epsilon. Okay, now epsilon, that is root of 250 by Fi. Fi's value is, we can say, 250. So root of 250 by 250, answer will be 1 as per this clause. So ultimately I can take the cross multiplication, B equals to 8.4 TF from this one. Now talking about the dimension of TF, then for that one, the thickness of the flange is assumed as 25 mm for the gantry girder. So I'm assuming the thickness of flange 25 mm. Let's put down this value 25 in this formula, so I will get the value of B. So for that one, see, so now B equals to 8.4 into TF, that is 25. So I will get the answer B, that is 210. Now we know that the B is the dimension of flange from the center to the edge. This one is B and this one is BF. So I can say BF equals to twice B. I can use the formula, that is this one. So now BF equals to twice B. B is 210. So 2 into 210. So answer is 420 mm. So ultimately I will get the answer, that is 450 mm. Okay, so finally size of flange, that is 450 by, we can say, 25. That's our criteria. Okay, so let's show it in the figure. 450 and 25, that is this one. Okay, so now the overall depth of the, we can say, the section, that is this one is 800, this one is 25, over here 25. So ultimately capital D will be 850. Okay, then we need to take moment at over central z axis also in the coming steps. So let's show it over here. Say D by 2. So D is 800, so up to the center, D by 2 will be 400. Okay, so now Step number 5, minimum wave thickness requirement. Now in this one what we will do, that we will make the criteria of the wave with respect to the code. Now for that one, d by tw ratio should be less than 67 epsilon as per this clause 8.6.1.1 page number 63, and we have already calculated this ratio, that is 50, which is less than 67 epsilon, and it's okay, we can design the girder as a beam. So that's step number 5. Then step number 6, now in this one we will do the calculation of properties of the gantry girder such as area, CG, MI, elastic section modulus, plastic section modulus, because these are the properties which will be required during the check criteria. Okay, so for that one we will calculate area as well as CG, MI. So first of all, let's calculate the area of the section. Area, that is 2 flanges are there of 450 cross 25, so 2 times 450 cross 25, that's the area of flange. And in addition, the central wave area 800 multiplied by 16, 800 multiplied by 16, clear? So ultimately I will get the value of area. See, 2 times 450 multiplied by 25, then 800 into 16, so ultimately I will get the area 35300 mm square. Okay, now by doing so, now talking about CG. So CG is, we can say, first of all, as I section is symmetrical I section, so CG is talking about X bar, it is always at the center from the edge, so that is, this will be, we can say, B, that is ultimately we can say X bar. So X bar equals to BF by 2, that is, we can say 450 by 2, so answer is 225. That's the value of the X bar. You can see over here, X bar, that is BF by 2, 450 by 2, 225 mm. Okay, then talking about Y bar, it will be the center of this one, this will be Y bar, that is 850 by 2, we can say 850 by 2, so that will be 425 mm. Okay, you can see Y bar, that is 850 by 2, that is 425 mm. Okay, so that's the criteria of the CG. Now let's calculate the moment of inertia. So first of all, with respect to x-axis, it is always box method. Okay, box method is the easiest one for the symmetrical I section. So first of all, capital BD cube by 12, so 450 into, we can say, the whole depth 850 cube by 12, and from this one deduct the central portion, that is this one, this portion is deducted from that one. Okay, so the remaining portion will be deducted, sorry, not this one. Okay, so minus, so 450 minus depth of wave, that is 16, into this depth, that is 800 cube by 12. Okay, by doing such things we will get the CG of these portions. Okay, so that's your box method. So see, BD cube by 12 minus small BD cube by 12, 450 into 850 cube by 12 minus 450 minus 16 into 800 cube by 12. So ultimately I will get the answer 4.51 into 10 to 9 mm raised to 4. That's with respect to X. Now with respect to Y axis, say IYY, and then we need to do dB cube by 12. So 2 flanges are there, depth is, we can say, 25 and B is 450. So 2 times 25 into 450 cube by 12, that's the MI of flange, plus central wave portion, that is this one, again dB cube by 12, 800 into 16, so 800 into 16 cube by 12. By doing such things we will get the value of moment of inertia with respect to Y axis. So see, 2 times 25 into 450 cube by 12 plus 8000 into 16 cube by 12, so I will get the answer 0.38 into 10 to 9 mm raised to cube 4, sorry, moment of inertia is there. Then elastic section modulus. Now for the elastic section modulus, we can say with respect to x-axis, so z equals to I z, that is this one, divided by, we can say, Y bar, that is this one. So by putting down this value over here, 4.51 into 10 raised to 9 divided by 425, we'll get the answer 10.61 into 10 raised to 6 mm cube. Then with respect to y-axis, now whenever we are calculating elastic and plastic section modulus, then it is always calculated for the flange only. So zy of the flange only, so criteria will be Iy divided by xy, where Iy, that will be the moment of inertia of the compression flange only. Okay, so moment of inertia of compression flange, we have already calculated this one, dB cube by 12, 25 into 450 cube by 12, 25 into 450 cube by 12. Okay, so you can see over here 25 into 450 cube by 12. So answer is 189.84 into 10 raised to 6 mm raised to 4. Now let's put down this value over here. Okay, and x bar, that's the value of x bar, that is 225, this one. By simplifying the term, I will get the value of zy, that is 0.84 into 10 raised to 6 mm cube. Okay, and then in the end we need to calculate plastic section modulus with respect to x-axis as well as y. So let's calculate with respect to x-axis. So for that one, what we need to do, we need to take moment of these two sections, flange and wave, with respect to center. Let's talk about first of all flange. Area 450 into 25. Okay, 450 into 25, that's its area. And talking about CG, it will be from the center to the ZZ axis. This will be, we can say, TF by 2, so we can say 25 by 2, plus this will be, we can say, D by 2, we have already calculated, that is 400, we can say 800 by 2. Okay, so that's the criteria of flange, whole multiplied by 2, because this flange produces the same plastic section modulus at the center. So that's the flange criteria. Okay, we can see over here, just a minute. Yeah, see, 450 into 25 whole multiplied by 25 by 2 into 800 by 2. So that's the criteria. Now talking about wave, we can say this one. So width, that is 16, and its depth is 400, and its CG will be obviously from the center. Okay, so 16 into 400 into 400 by 2, this one, and whole multiplied by 2 once again, because this portion does the same thing. Okay, so (16 into 400 into 2) whole multiplied by, we can say, 2. So ultimately we will get the value of ZPZ. Now this ZPZ should be greater than our requirement, okay, that we have calculated in the step number 3. Just a minute. Over here you can see 4270.56 into 10 raised to 3. If you convert into 10 raised to 6, then it will be 4.27. Okay, like this. So 4.27 into 10 raised to 6, and our answer has come 11.84 into 10 raised to 6 mm cube. So there is no issue with that one. Similarly, now we need to calculate plastic section modulus with respect to y-axis. But as I told you earlier also, whenever we are calculating elastic as well as plastic section modulus for the y-axis, then we need to calculate it for the flange only. Okay, so for that one, just a minute, say with respect to central axis, then we need to calculate this one. Okay, so area 25 into half dimension, that is 225, right? So 25 into 225, and its CG, obviously it will be at the center, that is 225 by 2, and whole multiply by 2, because the other portion does the same thing. Okay, same. 25 into 450 by 2, that is 225, and 450 by 4, that is 225 by 2, all multiplied by 2. So ultimately I will get the answer 1.27 into 10 raised to 6 mm raised to 4. Okay, so this is the first part of this design. Okay, I will continue this design in the next video. So till then, myself, Assistant Professor Gaurang Prajapati, signing off.